Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain an American mystery thriller film called Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Miles Braun, co-founder of tech conglomerate Alpha, is an eccentric billionaire who likes showing off his wealth. He has an annual tradition where he invites his best friends to extravagant locations and throws parties for them. Even this time, he has sent an invitation in the form of a mystery box. The first one to receive it is Lionel Toussaint, the chief scientist at Alpha. He is regarded as one of the smartest tech aficionados in town. Following this, the governor of Connecticut, Claire DeBella, and a fashion designer, Birdie J, also receive the same boxes. The final friend from the group is Duke Cody, a YouTuber with millions of followers. His channel focuses on the importance of men's rights. The four discuss the mystery box in a group call and eventually find the invitation from Miles inside. Later, we get to know that two more people have been invited. The first one is a depressed-looking woman whose name is unknown, while the second one is a middle-aged man, Benoit Blanc. Google says that he is the best detective in the world. Best detective who sounds like Foghorn Leghorn anyway. In the next scene, the entire group arrives at a port in Greece, as per their invitations. The four friends are happy to meet each other, but when they see the depressed woman show up, their expressions change. The woman is revealed to be Andy Brand, the other co-founder of Alpha. She and Miles started the company and took it to new levels, but for some reason, she had to abruptly leave. On the other hand, the detective Benoit has never met any of the members, even Miles. He actually doesn't know why he was invited. Meanwhile, a private yacht arrives to escort them, as does Ethan Hawke for some reason. Benoit is taken aback by the luxuries around him. He strikes up a conversation with the tech genius Lionel and learns that Miles has invited them to play a murder mystery game. After a while, they finally arrive at their destination. It is a huge island, which Miles has rented for himself. He is seen playing guitar on the shore, singing a popular Beatles song, like a proper rich asshole. When the group approaches him, Miles wastes no time in showing off his wealth. He mentions that the guitar was gifted to him by none other than the lead singer of the Beatles, Paul McCartney. Miles greets all his friends one by one, but as expected, he is taken aback to see Andy. He is also confused to see the detective there. Nonetheless, he introduces the island to everyone, revealing that it's just him and them. There are no helpers or maids, and the entire work is carried out by android robots. You're not super rich unless you don't employ anybody. The upper part of the villa is made up of glass, and it looks like an onion. Miles mentions that he has kept his favorite sports car up there. After the briefing session, he sends everyone to their respective rooms and asks them to arrive by the pool in the evening, which are assigned to them by their astrological signs, which is exactly the kind of hocus-pocus gibberish that wealthy douchebags love. And he asks them to arrive by the pool in the evening. Later, he takes Detective Benoit to the Glass Onion and suddenly asks, "What are you doing here?" Perplexed, the latter replies, "You sent me an invitation." Miles asserts that he didn't, so Benoit takes out the invitation card he found inside the mystery box. Seeing this, it finally dawns on Miles that someone from the group sent their invitation card to Benoit. They probably wanted to have the best detective in the world for the murder mystery game. Miles also likes this idea, so he officially invites Benoit to his place. In the next scene, everyone arrives at the pool to hang out. Kate Hudson signed on to this movie just to show off she's still got a rockin' bod at 43. The outcast Andy is also there, but everyone keeps mocking her about something that she did in the past. Meanwhile, the YouTuber Cody reveals that he has a gun on him. When the others ask why he brought it, Cody simply replies, "Why not?" As all this is happening, Benoit can be seen eavesdropping on everyone's conversation. He also manages to snoop around the large villa when no one is watching. Later, Miles gathers everyone and once again starts bragging about himself. He points to each one of his friends and reveals how he has elevated their careers. Miles made Lionel the head scientist of Alpha. He campaigned for Claire and won her the election. He promoted Cody's YouTube channel to make it go viral. And finally, he introduced Birdie to the fashion industry. While he says all of this, the four friends look annoyed. This makes it clear that they just pretend to like Miles, because without his influence and money, they are nothing. Meanwhile, Andy gets up and starts giving a lecture. She is especially angry with her former business partner Miles, who unfairly ousted her and became the sole owner of Alpha. She then turns on the rest, calling them greedy liars. However, the four quickly retaliate and say meaner things to her. This deeply affects Andy, so she storms away from the place. That night, the real party finally begins. Everyone is dressed in their fancy clothes, and Miles shows them around the place. Surprisingly, he has the iconic Mona Lisa painting hung on his wall. Benoit thinks it's a copy, as the real painting is in the Louvre Museum in Paris. However, Miles reveals that he bought it for an amount that not even the French government could refuse. Then he whips out a small crystal-like substance, which he calls clear. Apparently, this tiny substance has the ability to power enormous appliances without the emission of any harmful gases. Miles mentions that clear is manufactured using only seawater. Benoit asks if he can take a look at it, so Miles tosses it towards him. He calls it the future, which will help solve the global energy crisis problem. While everyone looks in astonishment, Lionel appears to be angry. He confronts Miles and asks for more time to test the substance before it can go commercial. However, to his dismay, the wealthy billionaire reveals that he has already tested it. In fact, the very island that they are on is powered by a single gram of clear. That's how powerful it is. Despite the revelation, Lionel is skeptical about the plan, as he believes that the crystal is dangerous and flammable. After a while, Miles finally starts his murder mystery game. At first, he explains all the rules, like how he will be fictionally murdered by someone, and how there are clues scattered all across the house. Miles also reveals that he hired James Cameron to prepare the entire game, which he believes is extremely difficult. But before he can even finish, Benoit, using his godlike detective skills, solves the entire case. He points to a bunch of clues and concludes that Birdie is going to commit the murder. Everyone in the room is shocked, and judging by Miles' expression, it is confirmed that Benoit is correct. Now that the game is over, everyone resorts to drinking and dancing. Meanwhile, Miles takes Benoit to the Glass Onion and asks, "Why did you have to ruin the party?" The latter replies that being a detective, he couldn't help it. But just then, he notices a small note framed on the wall. On inquiring, Miles reveals that it was the first blueprint of his company, Alpha, which he had written on a napkin. He showed it to Andy and she immediately liked the plan. Then, together, they built Alpha and made it successful. Saying all this, Miles mentions that he misses those times when he and his friends used to hang out in bars. Although he was not rich, he had friends who genuinely cared for and loved him. But now, they are only after his fame and money. Meanwhile, downstairs, the group has again started with Andy. They tell her to go back home and never show herself again. Cody even mentions, "I don't regret anything." Hearing this, Andy becomes enraged and walks away from there. Soon, Miles arrives and encourages everyone to continue with the party. He promises to have other games set up the next day. Just then, Cody gets a notification on his phone and calls Miles to check it out. When the latter sees it, he appears to be concerned. Nonetheless, he maintains his happy face and starts dancing with the others. Shortly after, Cody, who is having a drink, suddenly starts choking and drops to the floor. Everyone surrounds him to check if he's fine, but Benoit reveals that he has died. This sends everyone into a state of panic, and they decide to leave immediately. However, being a detective, Benoit tells them to stay right where they are. He suspects that Cody didn't die of natural causes, but he was murdered. The whiskey he was sipping on was probably poisoned. As Benoit is explaining his theory, Miles suddenly notices his initials on the glass Cody was drinking from. This reveals that the killer wanted to poison him, but Cody accidentally switched glasses and drank from it. Realizing that the killer is still on the loose, Miles goes into a state of panic. To make matters worse, the group finds out that Cody's gun is also missing. How did he not notice that? The dude literally carries it around in a Speedo. Miles pleads with Benoit for protection, but just then, the lights go out. It turns out that Miles had scheduled the lights to go out at this time, hoping that the game would become more interesting. The darkness causes chaos among the group, and they start running here and there. Hither thither. Most of them suspect Andy to be the killer, as she is the only one having an agenda against them. So, they start looking for her collectively, hoping to finish her off. Fortunately, Benoit gets to her first and briefs her about the recent turn of events. He also tells her that they are very close to finding out the truth. This finally reveals that the two have been working together. But before Andy can reach a safe location, someone shoots from a nearby room. Benoit is left speechless, and right before his eyes, she passes away. Soon after, the others also arrive and see the lifeless body of Andy. Following this, the movie goes into a flashback. Andy arrives at Benoit's place with her invitation card and hands it to him. She is wearing normal clothes, which is very unlike her. In a foreign accent, she then introduces herself as Andy's sister, Helena. She has come here all the way from Alabama to avenge her sister's death. Helena explains that 4 days ago, Andy was found dead inside her garage, and all the signs pointed at her committing the unthinkable. However, given her history with Miles and the others, Helena knows that she was murdered. To prove her theory, she brings out Andy's phone and displays the last email she had sent before her death. In it, she had attached a picture of her holding a red envelope, and the message read, I've finally found it. I'm giving you all one last chance to confess." Andy had sent the email to Miles and the 4 friends, but none of them ever replied to her. However, when Helena searched the entire house after her sister's death, she couldn't find the envelope. This means that whatever was inside it was very important, and someone had to kill her to take it away. Helena knows that one of the 5 committed the murder, but she can't say who. Now, she has come to Benoit to ask for help, as according to Google, he is the best detective in the world.
Oh, shucks.
Prior to her death, Andy had already got the invitation, so she wants Miles to go to the private party in Greece and look for the murderer. The latter thinks for a while and asks Helena if the public knows about her sister's murder. When she says no, Miles asks her to come along with him, disguised as Andy, as no one apart from the murderer knows about her truth. If she plays along, it will be easier to identify the culprit. Helena is initially skeptical about the plan, but when Benoit asserts that it's for her late sister, she agrees. The next night, before boarding a ship to Greece, the two meet at the seaside and plot their next step. Helena has a complete makeover, and she looks exactly like her sister. She has also been reading Andy's journal to learn her mannerisms. Curious, Benoit asks Helena to read some parts of the journal, and the movie goes further into the past. It is revealed that a few years ago, Andy and the 4 were good friends. They used to hang out at a bar and be happy at the smallest of things. Life was simple but difficult at the time. Then, one day, Andy introduced her friend Miles to all of them. Look at this guy's choice haircut. He was a curious guy who had a lot of ideas and opinions. Slowly, he became close to everyone, and they accepted him into their group. One evening, Andy had a remarkable idea. It was about starting a tech company with the most advanced yet cheapest products. She even wrote down her idea on a piece of napkin, which Miles approved of immediately. The two then became partners and established Alpha, which went on to become one of the largest tech corporations in the world. But, like every other establishment, this one was not short of problems. Miles wanted to use a new element, aka Clear, to power up factories, but Andy was against it. She even threatened to leave the company and take half the shares if it was the only way to stop him from investing in Clear. Soon, the matter went to court. Both sides gave their statements, and it all boiled down to who was the real owner of Alpha. Andy, being the rightful owner, said that she first came up with the idea and even wrote it down on a piece of napkin. The judge asked her to show proof, but unfortunately, Andy had lost the note. So she asked her friends, Claire, Bertie, Cody, and Lionel, to vouch for her. However, to her astonishment, they lied and took Miles' side. The latter had even managed to create a fake note, which eventually won the case in his favor. In this way, Andy was kicked out of her own company and deceived by her own friends. Desperate for revenge, she searched her entire house and finally found the note. Then she put it inside an envelope, clicked a picture with it, and sent it to her ex-friends. Following this, the movie fast forwards to the time Helen and Benoit arrived on the island. On the day when Andy, aka Helena, stormed off after having an argument at the pool, she was followed by Claire and Cody. Helen asked why they didn't reply to her email, to which Claire revealed that she couldn't because she is a politician. One wrong move would end her career. However, she, along with the others, had come to her house and banged on the door for hours. When no one responded, they left. Cody then revealed that he was the first one to come, and on the way, he almost got into an accident. Next, the movie forwards to the scene where the party had just started. Helena once again argues with the group and goes out, but her real plan was to check their rooms for the red envelope. She spent hours and turned every room upside down, but couldn't find it. Suddenly, the lights went out, and when she rushed outside, she met Benoit. This is when she was shot dead by an unknown assailant. But surprisingly, after a few seconds, she miraculously woke up. It turns out the journal she was carrying saved her from the bullet. Benoit was relieved to see her alive, but he also had an idea in mind. He wanted her to keep playing dead so that she could get enough time to find the envelope. Helena obliged, and to make the scene more convincing, Benoit applied some hot sauce on her face. Once everyone left, she quickly rushed to the one place she hadn't searched, the glass onion. Luckily, her guess turned out to be correct, and she found the envelope behind a wall. Back in the present, Benoit gathers everyone and explains that he finally knows who the real killer is. It is none other than the billionaire, Miles. Just some hours ago, the police found Andy's dead body, and the news quickly circulated. Cody, being a YouTuber, got to know of this, so he started blackmailing Miles. It turns out when Cody was on his way to Andy's house that day, he had come across Miles and almost crashed into his car. This means that the cunning billionaire had already killed Andy and taken the envelope before any of them even arrived. Unfortunately, before Cody could make use of this information, Miles almost poisoned him to death. He even switched their glasses to divert the attention from himself. Following this, Miles took his gun and killed Helena as she was getting dangerously close to finding out the truth herself. He had known that she was an imposter all along, but decided to remain silent. Just then, Helena also arrives with the note in her hand, shocking everyone. She then confronts Miles and taunts him that he'll soon be behind bars. But just then, the latter puts fire to her note and burns it down. With this, the final piece of evidence of their whole mission is erased. Helena asks the rest of the group if they will vouch for her, but no one agrees. After all that has happened, they still support Miles. Distraught, Benoit leaves the room, but not before handing the clear crystal to Helen. Surprisingly, this reinvigorates her, and she starts smashing everything in the room. Miles assumes that she's simply angry, so he doesn't try to stop her. But to his horror, Helena lights fire to the place. She then throws the clear crystal inside of it, causing the glass onion to explode. Sadly, the iconic Mona Lisa painting also burns down.
Sacre bleu! No!
As a result, the group finally realizes that what Miles is doing is wrong. He is a terrorist who only cares about himself and his fame, not the safety of others. Hence, they agree to support Helena and put Miles behind bars. The billionaire is enraged, and he tries to persuade his friends by offering them money, but this time, they don't listen. In the final scene, a victorious Helena approaches Benoit and thanks him for everything.
Don't mention it, little darling.
Then, as they look at each other, a boat can be seen in the dead of the night, probably to pick them up.
Well, I say a mystery solved.
Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.